Hey y'all, welcome! APG Jamie here. And I'm happy that you're here too. So today's video for our hashtag B group design team project number 4 is going to be hidden paper clips. But first, we're going to make some charms. We're going to use those darling, absolutely darling little fish stamps. Okay, now this stuff was provided to me, well, fish stamps, the digitals were provided to me by B, and there's a link to her blog website below. Wednesdays, design team projects go up on Wednesdays. You're gonna want to keep an eye on the blog, okay, for possible discount codes or other freebies, because I'm using a freebie in a little bit, around the 4-minute mark, okay? First, we're going to make some shrink plastic charms. I'm stamping out on grafix shrink plastic with stazon ink, because that's the one that dries on non-porous surfaces, okay? I'm stamping out the fish, and I'm stamping out the a starfish as well, and you're going to want that to dry before you trim everything out, okay? Really, it doesn't take very long for the stazon to dry, okay, but just be careful, you don't want to smudge it. I am leaving a somewhat generous border around the fish. In other words, I'm not cutting the line off. I'm leaving a little bit of an edge around there. If after you shrink this up, you should happen to have sharp edges, because you should be cautious of that with any shrink plastic pieces that you do, okay? You can use an emery board, you know, a fingernail file, or one of Timmy's little distressing sandpaper doolallers to just knock that little sharp bit off, okay? Just saying. You want to punch holes in these before you shrink them. I am using the larger hole on this crocodile. All right, the smaller hole is way too tiny, because these shrink down to about 1/4 of their beginning size. Okay, so these are going to be little. They're going to be adorable. See, there's the edge I'm leaving on there. All right, and I'm using one hole in some of them, and some of them I punched 2 holes. They could be used as buttons, maybe. I don't know. I haven't done anything with those fishies yet. So I'm using one of those little pancake makers. They're nice, compact. They get pretty hot. The cords are very short, just fair warning. I've got some silicone coated parchment paper I put in the bottom, and sometimes I lay a piece on top, because sometimes shrink plastic will curl up. All right, it doesn't hurt anything in there because it's Teflon. But anyway, only takes, what, the first one took like maybe 2 minutes to shrink up, and in a minute I'm going to show you what happens if you leave them in there just a little too long. They don't get smaller, but they will get cloudy. I'm going to show you that any day, probably, maybe. And I am just doing one at a time. I don't want them to, here we go, there's the somewhat cloudy one. I left it in there just a little too long. You know, sometimes it happens. It's still very usable though. If you want to color these, I would color them with alcohol inks before I stamped them. Okay, no big deal. You can use colored pencils on them. I believe people use markers, whatever. Just know when they shrink, the colors will intensify and deepen. All right. Here comes our hidden paper clips. Now, originally, I did the fussier one first, and then I thought, no, this is going to be too hard. Nobody's going to want to make these. Well, maybe you will, because I love them. I love them all. I love hidden paper clips, y'all. So what you're doing is we're actually hiding the paper clip. You will not be able to see the paper clip, but it will be very functional. Okay? So I've got an inside piece. These are basic scraps of cardstock. And I have found it's best if one side of the flip over is longer than the other side. Not much, just a little. I like the rounded corners as well because it slides on and off journal page mucho better. And I'm using jumbo paper clips, and again, this is silicone coated parchment paper. I like to use it so I don't accidentally glue my two sides together, because the fold is where our paper clip slides on there. And we have an outside cover that could be actually a little bit smaller than the inside piece. Okay, just want to make sure you cover your paper clip. We're gluing the one side. We're going to flip over our piece of our parchment paper there, and then we're going to glue the other side down. Now, if you put a little notch in the outside piece, you can actually have your paper clip sticking out just a little bit at the top so that you could, like, you know, add charms to it, or I don't know, thread or whatever, y'all, just whatever. Okay, I'm not doing it this time. And I'm just kind of wiping away some of the excess glue, and I'm smooshing it down really well. If you want to, you can, you know, set a heavy book over this to make sure it weights down. And I do prefer cardstock over paper, just because the paper clip can you can kind of see the outline of the paper clip. And I do prefer the wet glue as opposed to other glues. That's my preference. Do what makes you happy. Now, I took our freebies, which B, as such a sweetheart, she gave us images. They're mirror image, so one faces one way, one faces the other. They can go back to back. All right. Fussy cut them out. If it's too fussy, just cut those other little extra fussy pieces off. It's okay, y'all. So this is the more intricate type of the way I'm doing this paper clip. It's basically the same thing. I have an inside piece that has a fold on it. That's where our paper clip's going to go. I have our outside piece. In this case, it's a submarine. It's so cute. I did cut off some of the fussier pieces, but you don't have to if you don't want to, okay? And I'm taking our folded piece, and I'm just sort of trimming around it. It is not precise. Now, the beauty of hidden paper clips like this is you cannot see both sides at one time. When you put it on your paper, you can look at one side, then you got to flip your paper over and see the other side. So it is not imperative that they match up exactly. Now, I've also taken, and I do recommend this, often on a lot of things, when you're inking your edges, to ink just a little bit on the inside, okay, in case it does stick out a little bit, it's already got ink on it. And it's much easier to do before you do any of the gluing. Gluing? New word. Gluing. So the edge that has the fold is where I'm going to slide the paper clip on. You can use the smaller size paper clip if you want to. I just, for some reason, prefer the larger one. Now, this is the inside where the paper clip's going. It is thinner than the submarine fold over piece, okay? That's where our paper clip's going. I'm going to stick it on a piece of silicone coated parchment paper. It's just a store brand, y'all, and I really like it because it works really well for me. So here's our little fold over piece with our paper clip. Let me clear away these things. Like I said, I did the fussier one first. So, gonna use some wet glue. Aleene's Originals, really my favorite, y'all. Just saying. And this is where I'm like, oh, I need my parchment. It's just gonna slide right on there. Give it a minute, because now it's damp, y'all. And for me, I believe the wet glue helps the cardstock to get slightly damp. Therefore, it forms and fits together somewhat better, in my opinion. Okay? Don't shoot the messenger. And I'm leaving the tip not quite all the way on the edge of the paper clip. Okay? I'm leaving some space there. We're going to put eyelets later. Not yet. Definitely want it dry before you put your eyelets. Now we're putting our glue on the back side, and we're going to fold over our white piece of submarine. Okay. Like I said, cardstock, in my opinion, helps to disguise the shape of the paper clip somewhat. okay? It's not imperative. It's all on what you like, what you want. I like hidden paper clips. I know I said it already. So here's our submarine, and we're just going to glue it right on top. Can you see where I have inked around and have brought that ink down just a little bit on the inside white piece there? Okay. Now, these paper clips can be so more blinged up. You could put glitter glue on them. You could heat emboss on them. You could put diamonds on them. Maybe some fibers. Oh, wouldn't those fish look totes adorable with little fibery kind of fins and stuff? Oh, I should have done that. I wish I'd have thought of that sooner. Oh, well, it's okay. It's all fine. It can still be altered even more in a little bit. Just saying. Now, when I'm doing this kind of stuff, instead of using heat guns, sometimes I lay them over on my keyboard, on my laptop keyboard. It gets warm air kind of blowing up through the keys there, okay, which helps these to dry. Now, you want to be careful, if you're going to put eyelets in here, not to punch your the paper clip, okay? You might break your crocodile if you did that, or your hole punch, depending on whatever tool you're using. Be careful. Don't punch through the paper clip, because it might break. It probably would break, because paper clips are pretty heavy. So the fish has the folded edge on the top of the fish, so that this will fit over the top of your page. But it doesn't matter, because it's a fish, and fish can swim whichever way it wants to swim. I've seen them go backwards. Okay. Upside down. It's not a good place for them, though. So these are the smaller of the eyelets. You know, they come in a couple different sizes, and these are smaller ones. Now we're going to put a jump ring on the eyelet. All right. And I just got various sizes of jump rings there. And when you open jump rings, you want to twist the two open ends apart. Don't pull them apart, because that weakens the metal wire, okay? You want to twist them apart, and then when you put them back together, you twist them back together in the opposite direction, of course. So I've got some tiny chain, and I'm going to have to switch the size of my jump ring, because the metal wire that jump rings are made out of is a different diameter. Okay, and this is a small chain. My larger little jump ring wire will go through the end piece, but when you try to put two jump rings, it didn't want to work. Anyway, that's what that is. And I fiddle around with this for a little bit. It's a jewelry making a lot is two-handed, okay? And these are charms. You can use string. You don't have to use chain. You don't have to use jump rings either. Options, y'all. Options. So, putting a jump ring on the fish, and then I will take another jump ring and attach that to the chain. Twist one way to open, twist it back the other way to close it. All right? And you kind of want to be sure that your little ends of your jump ring, that they're, you know, meeting end to end and not necessarily overlapping. Okay? There's a lot. I make jewelry, but I'm not a jewelry maker, if you know what I mean. Okay? I do a lot of different stuff. I'm a master of some, not everything. So now that can be the fiddly part, is getting the jump ring on there through the other jump ring into the chain. All right, so sometimes you got to fiddle around with it. And oh y'all, I'm so happy with the way these came out. And it's you know, they really would prefer our videos to be, you know, shortish. And this one's not long, not like I did my first quarter of the design team. Y'all, I'm much better. The blog post that I'm writing is much shorter than those first ones, okay? Because I'm a wordy girl, okay? I like words, and I use them. Right, wrong, or mispronounced. So, We do. We fiddle with this for a little bit. This is where I decided, oh, that the wire on that jump ring is just too big to fit into my chain. That can be an issue sometimes. I know, I feel like I can slow down. Was I talking too fast? Probably was talking too fast. And if you need to slow down the video, or if you should desire to speed it up, first of all, I'm going to sound a little different, okay? More peculiar than normal, than average. Find your settings on whatever device you're looking at, okay? Because they have different settings on different devices. It's usually in the shape of a gear, or some people call it a cog, C-O-G, cog, like Mr. Cogsby. Anyway, and there should be an option to speed up or slow down the video. Okay, there should be. Oh, speaking of, there should be a list of ingredients in the description below the video. ... more, or is it more ... one of those. Click that and there'll be a list of ingredients, and that's where you will find the links to Belle's website, where you can find the blog post for all the design team members. Like I said, that typically goes up on a Wednesday. Okay, so be looking for that. And for me, I believe my video, well, actually, I know my video goes up on noon Central Time, because that's my time zone, y'all. I don't know what your time zone is, so noon Central. All right. Anyway, I know it takes a minute to do this. Yeah, I do have some hand issues. So, not necessarily the smoothest, charming person. Anyway, I sure enjoy it. And that's the whole point of doing this stuff, is for you to have fun. Now, we're in May, and it is Mermaid Month, which is a hashtag event that I believe James Burke started. And it's been several years, y'all. Mermaid. M-E-R-M-A-Y. Okay? What a fun kit this is. There's digitals, there's stamps. I didn't show the washi stickers too much this time, but in my first two videos, there's a flip through of the digitals and the washi stickers, which are beautiful. Anyway, yeah, the stuff I was making with those, I ended up not being happy with, so I didn't show that video. Oh, here's our flip-flop part. See, there's that fish going on. We got a little charms. It can go on either side of the page, okay? The fish basically goes on the top of the page, but you put it on the side. It don't no matter, because it faces both ways. And the ones with the blue background there, you could actually do any color and put one fish on one side and one fish on the other. They don't even have to be the same fish on both sides. Just saying. I did not add a jump ring or charms to those, but you can. They're adorable. I love them. This is an over the page one, and I already got the top, so it's going on the bottom of the page, y'all. I love them. I like Hidden Paperclips. They made me stinking happy, y'all. Ta-da! Photo montage. Be sure to visit the blog on Wednesdays. Any other times are good too. And check out the other design team members' videos. If you're not already subscribed to their channels, I would personally like to invite you to subscribe to their channels. Okay? Like their videos, share them across your platforms, because that gets more exposure out there. Some of these, as you saw, I made them a pocket, and I used some of the little sayings out of the stamp set on there. I'm so sophisticated. Oh. Thanks for watching. Until next time, happy artin', y'all. just keep swimming.